So I love the video of Johnny's E46 M3. I really like that car. It reminded me of sort of what I've done with my E46 M3. So I thought I'd bring that out today and do a little review my own car episode with that. So this is our 2001 E46 M3 that we picked up back in 2003 with 15,000 miles on it. It was all stock at the time. A lot of enjoyable moments. Took this car on Gold Rush in 2010. Which was a blast. Not the fastest car out there for certain, but it's a good handling car, well balanced, really nimble. Done quite a few mods to this car over the years. A lot of different components have gone on and come off, been replaced, up to the point where you see it now. It's got ground control, coilovers, let's see, Delrin and some urethane bushings throughout, camber arms in the rear, camber plates, a lot of suspension mods. Probably needs a few more. The ground controls are pretty old at this point. A lot of miles on those. That was a great kit, but I think I've sort of outgrown those now. As I track the car more often, it needs a little more spring rate and probably a shock setup that can handle that. I'm fond of the JRZ RS1s. I have those on my E92 M3, love those. So I think those will find their way onto this car pretty shortly. Little nod to Gold Rush Rally with the plate on there. Car has a set of BBS CH wheels on here. 19 by 8.5 front, 19 by 10 rear. Actually shaved 5mm off the back of the rears. They were a 20mm offset and they would rub even though we rolled the fenders. So eventually we shaved 5mm off the back of those to make it more of a 25mm offset. And now they clear really well, no rubbing. In the front, running basically a factory brake setup, some two-piece floating rotors from Performance Friction with some Performance Friction race pads, front and rear, braided lines, Motul fluid. Brakes work really, really well for a stock setup. Probably will add a brake kit at some point. I added this front splitter by MK Rennsport in Germany to add a little downforce to the front. I also added a BMW GT4 rear wing with some high mounts. Put it's a replica CSL boot lid on here because I didn't want to cut into the factory trunk lid. So I went ahead and added this and then mounted the wing to that. Had to add a little reinforcement under there as well. Car's also running a fancy wide diffuser. You can see that on there. Supersprint race muffler setup. The running full Supersprint exhaust. Added stepped headers to this not too long ago. Supersprint section 1 with some high flow cats, Supersprint section 2, and then into the rear race muffler. Car has been tuned by Randy at Epic Motorsports. We dyno tuned it. It's running an Alpha N setup because I've got a CSL Airbox mounted in there. So under the hood, we've got basically the S54 engine as it came from the factory for the most part, all internally anyway. CSL Airbox. I've got some ducting up here to a headlight duct, get some cool air in there. Valve cover is, the beauty cover is removed to keep some cool air flowing to the coils. Can't really see the headers down there, but there are some Supersprint stepped headers down there. This car has been remarkably reliable. This thing sees 8 grand every time I drive it. I love the way these motors rev. It's not the best sounding exhaust out of these cars, but the motor itself sounds pretty good. Running a radium catch can They make a great kit specifically for this, bolts right in, no drilling, no tapping, no nothing, just bolts right in. See the ground control camber plates there. Inside, I've sort of stripped out quite a bit of the factory stuff. Factory seats came out quite a while ago. When I pulled the seats out, I added these Recaro SPGs, Kirk bolt-in roll bar, painted to match in Laguna Seca blue. Pulled the rear seat out, added some foam board, covered in carpet. May do something else in the future that looks a little better, covered in Alcantara, we'll see. Schroth harnesses. I recently added these hard Motorsport carbon fiber door panels, which pulled out the speakers. Those are incredibly lightweight. Added an Alcantara wrapped steering wheel not too long ago. I have an Eclipse Tech shift light in there, which is kind of cool. Programmable shift light, blue and red colors. RTD shifter, short shifter. This is their race version. It doesn't look so short, it's rather tall, but I like the fact that the knob is not too far from the steering wheel. It makes for some quick shifts. That's kind of actually a really nice feature of the car now. Removed the factory radio, running an ultra gauge just to kind of help keep an eye on coolant temps, intake temps while we were doing some of the tuning stuff. The factory coolant temp gauges are not known to be incredibly accurate in these, so I kind of wanted to keep an eye on that a little better. Still running factory carpet. I didn't want to go that far to remove that yet. I may do that at some point, but I kind of wanted to go for more or less like a club sport look for this car. Again, I still drive it on the street. I don't need to hear every piece of gravel that hits the bottom. So left some of the comfort in there. Still running factory airbag. The car has a sunroof. I may delete that at some point. There's a few companies that make a CSL roof panel up here to delete the sunroof and shed some weight off the top. There's probably a few things I forgot to mention, but I got the important parts in there. Do one more walk around, kind of dirty with the bonnet open and doors open. I do actually have a carbon fiber vented hood for this, along with some vented fenders. I'll probably get around to putting those on at some point before long. I don't know, I've been kind of lazy with it. And then I won't leave this carbon boot lid exposed carbon. That'll get painted. May paint the rear wing too, not sure. We'll see. CSL rear diffuser in 1x1 weave. That's about it.